Alrighty, acute diseases, whether we're talking about livers or whatever, really we're talking about diseases that, last for days or possibly weeks.
Whereas, but they'll go away.
Yeah, they will typically go away. Whereas chronic conditions, we're talking about diseases that last for months and typically for years. So it's a matter of time. Acute are kind of short-term things. Chronic is kind of long-term things.
Okay, so we've got acute and chronic liver issues. When we start looking, so let's start with acute.
So with acute, you've got something, and most things that make the liver upset tend to be inflammation of the liver, and inflammation in the liver is what hepatitis is. Hepatitis is just one of those medical terms that we doctors like to bandy around to confuse people, and it just means inflammation in the liver. Anything with itis means inflammation.
So we're talking hepatitis, inflammation. Are we talking, when I say inflammation, when you get kind of an inflammation in your arm and you kind of see something kind of getting, is it that kind of inflammation where you physically get some swelling, or?
So you can get a bit of swelling in the liver inflammation, but remember it's deep inside, so you can't see it. You might get a bit of kind of mild discomfort on the right upper side of your tummy, which is where your liver's located, but generally you wouldn't feel too much. But yeah, if you were to kind of dive into your body, if you were to miniaturize yourself and go in there, or sort of cut open the liver, you'd see that it was inflamed, it was a bit red, it was a bit swollen. Absolutely.
Okay. All right.
So acute things. Generally, there is a brief insult to the liver. There's something happening to the liver to make it unhappy. And as a result, you get inflammation. You get the markers of inflammation going up in the liver. And then your body gets rid of whatever's caused the insult, or it goes away, or you stop taking it. And then the inflammation in the liver gradually over days or weeks settles down completely back to normal. So typically there's no long-term liver damage from an acute liver injury, from acute hepatitis.
So when you get an acute situation, something has come in to make the liver unhappy, and hopefully you've removed whatever you did to cause that, or the situation that you were in, so that it goes back to living in a relatively normal environment.
Yeah, absolutely. That's completely it. And the sort of things that can make the liver temporarily unhappy like that, well, we've got viruses. So the hepatitis A virus is a really good example of this. You get infected by the hepatitis A virus. It's often transmitted through contaminated food or contaminated water. It makes your liver sick. It makes your liver inflamed. You'll kind of feel tired. You'll feel lethargic. You may feel a little bit fluey. You may get a bit of discomfort. You may well become jaundiced, and that's because your liver isn't processing the bilirubin, the bile so well, so it's building up in your bloodstream, and you can see it in the whites of your eyes. And then over a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, your body will get rid of the virus completely, and the liver will breathe a sigh of relief, and the inflammation will go down again. But, it can take about 6 weeks or so.
That's a long time.
So potentially, you can take 6 weeks to get full recovery, but, pretty much almost always you do recover from this. So hepatitis A is a good example.
Is hepatitis A something you can get a shot for? I know that's hepatitis C, right? I think that
it's actually not. Hepatitis C is the one of the alphabet of hepatitis, and we can talk about those later. Is the one that you can't get a shot for. Right. So hepatitis A you can get a shot for, and it protects against infection. So it's definitely a worthwhile thing to do. Other viruses that can cause an acute hepatitis, hepatitis B, and we'll talk a bit more about that in a moment, because that's an interesting virus. COVID can cause an acute hepatitis as well. Yellow fever can cause an acute hepatitis. But I guess the big viruses are hepatitis A and hepatitis B that can cause an acute hepatitis. Now, on top of that, there's other things that can do it. For example, drinking ridiculous amounts of alcohol in a short space of time can cause an acute hepatitis. Taking certain medications, a few antibiotics have got hepatitis as a potential potential side effect. And as soon as you stop taking those antibiotics, the hepatitis tends to improve. Other medications, before I moved to Dubai, I used to work in China, and herbal medication is quite popular there. And quite a few different herbal medicines can potentially cause liver inflammation as well. So it was something I saw a few times over there.
Which is a crazy thing, because we always think herbal things, okay, no side effects. There's no garbage in them. This is going to be good. I mean, and yet so many byproducts in
and
herbal
in
medicine.
fairness, quite often they can be good. And
For sure.
a whole bunch of stuff that we don't really understand about it. But equally, you don't really know what's in there. You don't know what chemicals are going to be in there. And there certainly are chemicals in herbal medicines that can irritate and damage the liver. And pregnancy actually is interesting.
Get out of here.
Yeah, absolutely. It's weird, isn't it? But particularly in the later stages of pregnancy, there are a few, fortunately, very rare conditions where all the hormonal changes cause liver inflammation and can cause an acute hepatitis, and that can be something that can be pretty dangerous for both the mother and the unborn child. So, yeah, and
I've never heard of that one. That one's new on me.
It can happen. It's pretty rare, but it can be an emergency. It can call for an early delivery and that will typically stop the issue.